Back again. Are you guys tired of me yet? I hope not. We are so excited to share with you what Fit in Faith Press publication is all about. There are so many stories that have been generated through the hallways we've been able to talk to, and you might have had an opportunity to meet with Sharon and Ransom in the Fit Press room. But there's a lot of authors. There's a lot of bubbling messages, right? How many of you guys want to be an author, and that is yet a part of your story? 1, 2, 3. Oh, can't count anymore. That's good. We want you to be able to do that as well. And the very first way that I stepped into becoming an author was through a devotional. And so it can feel cumbersome to write an entire book, but it is an opportunity to write something and you just be a contributing author. So the very first time that I did that, I actually didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell my fans, my followers, my community, my family. I only told my spouse because I knew the Lord was calling me to write, and I didn't want anyone that I knew to read what God was calling me to write. Anybody have that as a part of their story? They're like, wait, I got to share that message, Lord? He's calling you to the front lines. We learned this yesterday. He is calling you as a messenger. And so I contributed to this anthology, or to this devotional, and I wrote my story of shame. Just a snippet, just a little bit, and I realized how much freedom I had on the other side when I released it out of my body. And now I literally say that this, you can never put shame on my shoulders again because it sits on a bookshelf. Ever. So if someone comes to me with something from my past, or the enemy tries to come with me from something from my past, I'm like, oh yeah, I know. Remember we already faced that battle? It's over there. And this is why you write. Because it's sometimes not for millions of readers. It's for you and the generations will be behind you because you've shared your message and you now get to walk more freely. So Fit in Faith Press was established from this journey, and it was from this devotional and then me doing another devotional that I realized this is really hard. When I started writing my own personal imprint, I was doing it as a self-publisher, and Fit in Faith Press has now evolved into a full publication experience where we are fully distributed worldwide to bookshelves. We are not only, I can't say the cuss word, there's a cuss word in the publishing industry, do you want to know it? I don't cuss on the mic often. Are you ready? Once you say it, though, put it in your back pocket and never say it again. Amazon. It's a cuss word. It's a cuss word. Okay, don't say it. Don't put it. Now, I am all for people publishing and getting it out there easy. That's amazing. I celebrate it. Hit number 1, do it. But there's a system to everything, right? And so the system can sometimes not be secure, and it can sometimes not be honest. Do we know this about systems? We know this about the world. So we want to be honest in the way that we show up. We want it to be integral, but we also want you to know that Amazon only represents 40% of book purchases worldwide. 40. So you are limiting yourself simply by going to a big box that you think is simple for you to press submit. Now, I did that with my first book, and now, that was in 2021, and now in 2020, what is it, next year? 2024, I had the opportunity from a publisher who approached me to say, I want that book, and I said, no way, I'm not giving away the rights. If you're a musician, don't give away the rights. If you're an author, don't give away the rights. Read every dotted line on every publishing house that submits anything to you, because they will take everything, and you will be left with a pretty book to hold with no money in your pocket and nothing connected to the words. So we are educators in the publishing industry as much as we are a publishing house. And we're gonna open up the curtains for people, and that's what we've been doing, which has been kind of fun, because people are often shocked that most people only ever sell in the lifetime of a book 2,000 copies. That's it. That is the average number of book sales, okay? An average meaning some people only sell 100, and some people sell a whole lot more, right? And so the average 2,000, our publishing house gets you 10,000 to 15,000 secured because of the distribution, because of the partnerships that have been established. And I have to give a shout out to our publishing partner, because we are an imprint of Morgan James, and you will see that when you see our newest book. Well, I was gonna say where they at, but you guys got to meet them yesterday, and you're about to meet them again. But the Joyful Entrepreneur Anthology has been birthed out of this publishing house for people to have that first experience like I did, which is the one contributing chapter. It's done in Q&A format, so you don't have to feel overwhelmed by like, what do I write, how do I write, what do I do? Because we're teaching and training up our authors through the anthology process on how to write your own. We give you the blueprint of that. We take you on writing retreats. We give you stage moments, because your book is your business? And Candace is going to tell you a little bit about that.
Yes, so because Tamara started as a devotional author, one of the things that Fit Press does that is special to us is these anthologies. And also, we are doing a women's and men's devotional now, where it's an entry point to be able to tell your story in a chapter and also build that chapter into a full manuscript. So what we really believe is that there is a traditional publishing house, which they will tell you on stages. We have been to conferences where they will tell you your book will probably never get published and you should face the truth. And this was at a Christian publishing conference this year. And we were floored that they were telling people, thanks for coming, thanks for spending the money to come to this publishing conference, but you're probably never going to get published. And it's true. Traditional publishing houses are unlikely to publish your book unless you're going to do something for them. And then you lose all of the copyrights to their book or your book, and you can no longer do anything that you want with your book. And because Morgan James Publishing, and we are an imprint of them, even though we are considered a traditional publishing house, you still have the rights to your book, and we are building your book as you're going along the process. So you start from day one with us training you up to tell you how to market, how to manage it, how to build it, how to speak it, how to put it on podcasts, and how to monetize it, because the Lord tells us that this is what we are supposed to do, and we all should be writing books, and we all should be able to get it out to the world. And like she said, selling 2,000 books is not what the Lord wants us to do. He wants us to tell the world. And so the systems that we put in place has been able to monetize your book and making it your business, so that you're after your first book and you've learned to put it on a platform and start building, then you have your second book. The one thing that loses in the traditional publishing house that we have as well is that once your book is published, that's not your contract is not over, your agreement is not over. We are checking in on you on a weekly, monthly basis to make sure that the principles and the assets that we've given you, you're implementing so that your book can continue to make money. Your book is going to make money, and I want to say it's 18 months. It's 18 months after it's published is when it starts actually making traction, and you can start monetizing it. And so even though it's published, and let's say you publish May 1st, great, we've done all the work for a year, that's not over. We really want to make sure that we are able to help you along in the process to keep building it and share your message. The other part is that we have right now a More Than Enough devotional going on that we are, and I know Victoria is in here.
One of our authors is here.
Yes,
who's going to be contributing.
Yes, she's back there. Yes. So we met her at a conference, and she's here to be with us. But also, the More Than Enough devotional is strategic in the fact that this year, we all know it's hard to release titles, and that the world gives us titles. And so what we're doing is sharing a women's devotional about being more than a mom, being more than a wife, being more than my job, being more than a religion, being more than my past, and being more than my body. And there's 15 of us who are going to be writing into these chapters to help women understand that these titles are what the world gives us, but we are just children of God. And so as Fit Press develops and keeps going, not only will we have single authors making their manuscripts, but we're going to continue making these cohort groups together so that you have an opportunity, if you're not ready to build your book yet, if you're unsure of how far you want to go and you want to do what Tamara did, and I'm going to be doing the same thing, and you're writing this small chapter because you're not quite ready and you're not sure if God's timing is ready for you to launch your full book, this is the timing to at least put your chapter out there.
And I want to say one of the parts, because I am an experienced creator, can you tell? Love experiences, is it's expensive to do the marketing on the other side of once you have a book. And the reason that is for all of the different reasons why you don't feel like you can get your foot in the door. Because we have our imprint label, we have distribution partners across the country of Barnes & Nobles, of Books A Millions, of all the places where all we have to do when I fly to a city is hey, I'm going to be in Raleigh next week. Can we get a couple of, I have to do it further than a week, let's be honest. It's a month in advance. I'm going to be in Raleigh next month, and I would love to do a book signing. They're going to use their list in order to acquire new people for you, and you get to use their venue for free. And so we are going to be going on book tours all over the country for all of these different books with all of these different authors. And every time a new author comes on board, they get to jump onto that adventure. And so it is not leaving you single-handed by yourself alone in the process. We want you to know that there is a family of authors that you get to rely on, and there's coaching alongside that. The imprint owner of Morgan James has written a book called Guerrilla Marketing. That's inside of their bags.
It's inside the resource hub.
The resource hub. You have a link to the free ebook of this, and it is an incredible asset. It's called Guerrilla Marketing. There has been multiple series of this particular book. It's sold over 2 million copies, and it's hit multiple lists, and it teaches you how to market your book. So I hope that you're getting value from this. I hope that it's turning on a light. I hope that it's changing the way that you look at the publishing industry, and I hope that it is evoking you to say yes to writing, because that's really our passion for you all. I wanted to also make note of the fact that these are just 3 of the 6 books that I've had the joy of writing in, no pun intended, pun fully intended. And this is going to be the cohort of people that you're about to hear from. They have blessed me so much by saying yes, and there has been multiple of them that are also in the first version of this. And what's so cool about it is we're gonna take over the shelves, and we're gonna be the new Chicken Soup for the Soul. So it doesn't look like a lot right now. It doesn't, but God has given us this vision, and I've had the joy of talking to the author of Chicken Soup for the Soul. Mark Victor Hansen is a friend of mine, and got to tell him, like, hey, I'm coming after you, and we're gonna bring Jesus. And he's like, man, really? No. I'm like, yeah, but he's a believer, so I'm excited about that. And he was looking forward to just saying, hey, let's put them alongside each other on the shelves one day. And so let's go for volume number 3. If you're interested, it's a part of being in the mastery program. So there are some people who are a part of this anthology because they've been in the mastery program as well, which you got to hear about yesterday. So are there any more open slots to meet with you today?
I think there's 2.
So if you don't have your sheet, just find Candace
find me, yes.
in the halo hat. We love you guys so much. Do you have any final words to say before we invite the authors out?
I can't wait to see the authors.
Let's go. Can I say one more thing before we bring them out? This is some of their first time ever being on stage. It's the first time that they're gonna have lights on, the first time that they can't see the faces of the people in the crowd. And they're gonna each perform, essentially, because they have 1 minute, okay? And it's going to sound like a spoken word experience, and they're gonna give you the mic drop moments of their chapter. And I would love, more than anything, if every single time they walk off stage right, you would just give them a huge uproar. Maybe not as much as Jesus, but a lot. You down for that? Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yesterday and today and forever, ever, ever. Whenever I'm with you. When I call you.
And the mic is working.
Oh, hello. Hi. Okay, so we met briefly yesterday. Alejandra Crisafulli here. And I wanted to read a part of my chapter with you. The chapter that I wrote is called The Only Answer to Self-Help. The demands of running a business are very taxing reality. We wear multiple hats and are constantly made to feel like we're being pulled in every direction. From my experience, the rapid switches from coach to sales associate to marketing strategist to financial reporter to customer service and everything in between stretched me so thin I couldn't relax through my responsibilities and find joy in my work. I was dealing. Dealing is a term I use throughout my coaching method because it perfectly encapsulates how most people live their lives. People often believe that they have a manageable equilibrium between pain and pleasure. Yet, this balance is really just a battle for control, and we hold on to this attempt at control for dear life. In truth, This fight to maintain balance is only a surface level solution to the overwhelming facets of human existence and business. I would love to know what Jesus thought of me as he watched me trudge through my days looking for some sanity while I perpetually tried to control and manage my way through every task. I imagine he would react like this: Alejandra, you don't have to make everything so hard. Simply give it to me.
Hello, everyone. So, months ago, when I was praying about what to bring to you guys today from my chapter, the Lord dropped this in my spirit, and I literally had to go back and reread it because I was like, Lord, did I even write that in my chapter? So I had to go back and read it, and lo and behold, there it was. So, and it's so cool how the Holy Spirit does that because it absolutely goes with the theme of today. And so the Lord said, what would it profit you to gain the whole world, yet lose your soul? Absolutely nothing. When we continue to surrender our lives and our businesses to the Lord, you know, it may not look like we thought it would, but it'll be better than we ever imagined. I'm Sharon Davenport, and there is something for you in our stories.
Hi there. My plans for my life would have been completely different if you would have asked me 2.5 years ago. I loved where I worked, but God has better plans for us. And so, as long as you trust Him, no matter what, He'll get you through the toughest times. I went from jobless, from a safe place being taken from me, and within 8 months, He was able to promote me to executive director and beyond what I could even ask or imagine, as long as you trust Him. And if anyone needs hope out there, He's got you. He'll get you through the toughest times. I'm Sheree Gonzalez, and thank you. Thank you.
Morning. I believe each of us should be celebrated for the uniqueness which we have, and we should be sharing all of the things by which we are alike. So in sharing in this anthology, it gave me an opportunity to not only share with the other women that I had the opportunity to write with, it gives me a chance to share with the people that are in my sphere and outside of my sphere. It's just like us coming together here today. I got the opportunity to meet new and unique people and to have them touch my lives and possibly touch theirs as well. This is what I think that we can do as the major benefit in each other's life, is share the light, the love, and the opportunities that we have with each other, and each of us to blaze our own unique trail, and through that, share a message of love with others. Thank you.
My name is Julianne Kirkland, and I wrote a chapter in The Joyful Entrepreneur, and it's called The Multiplier. Not just because I have a set of quadruplets, which is 4 babies at one time, but also because I was made in His image, and He is the ultimate multiplier. And I wanted to be a part of The Joyful Entrepreneur because it would have been incongruent for me not to. You see, the number one compliment I get is on the energy that I bring and the presence that I bring into a room. And it's because He's with me wherever I go. Because in His presence is the fullness of joy. That's right. My name is Julianne Kirkland. Thank you.
Good morning, y'all. Good morning. So the theme that I have heard over the last 24-ish hours is a theme of hope and inspiration. And my testimony, every facet of my story has hope all throughout it. All the hills and valleys have hope throughout it. And what I want to share with you today is this. We serve a God of the impossible. If he can take somebody like me from the inner city who suffered multiple forms of abuse and loss and dropped out of high school halfway through her senior year and take her and transform her life and make her a doctor and a financial empowerment coach, he can do that for you. Here's what I want to leave with you. No matter how deep the pit you find yourself in, you can always rise above and accomplish more than you ever envisioned. I'm Dr. Michelle Murray. Thank you.
Hello, hello. I'm so excited to be here with you today and share with you my heart. Joseph was somebody that in the Bible I just relate with so much. Here's a young man who had a vision for his life and things went horribly awry. He was literally sold out by his own family. Can you imagine? He suffered false accusations, imprisonment, and it seemed like God had just put him on a shelf and forgotten about him. And if that's you today, if you feel like God is just out there and he's forgotten you, I'm here to tell you, he's not. Because in a moment, Joseph went from the prison to the palace. And as God pulled back the curtain and showed Joseph, this is what I've been preparing you for. All those years, all that suffering, all that confusion, and watching him be faithful in those little things. That's what God had prepared him for. So don't lose hope. I'm Catherine McAdam. I'm a nurse practitioner, and I am a joyful entrepreneur, and so happy to be a best-selling author.
Short. Before I came up here, I was trying to figure out what the Holy Spirit wanted to say and not what I was going to say. And part of that is kind of realizing that you're a vessel. And with books, with speaking, with your businesses, the vessel is who you are for God and Holy Spirit to work through you and for the people that you're called to serve. So in my businesses, the thing that he really laid on my heart for me to read today is everything good we have in this life has always been God's, even our businesses, especially our businesses. It's not whether we want to give them to God, it is whether we want to allow God to move in them. He wants us to invite him into our lives. He wants to work with us. The quicker we understand this, the more fruitful and fulfilling our lives will be. On those days, I haven't allowed him in, and I picture him as a father watching me struggle to lift a heavy box or unravel a knotted ball of yarn. And he is just waiting for me to say, can you help me with this? And he says, sure. This is in life, and it is absolutely in our businesses. We think we do it all in our own strength and understanding. Meanwhile, our Father has the full understanding and the exponential strength needed. Why wouldn't we call upon him? Because of our flesh, because of our sin. So I leave this with you today that for me, in order for me to really represent the Lord the way he wants me to, because of who I am in him, is he's made me to be a builder. And I am a builder. I love to build businesses, I love to build people, and most importantly, the people that I serve. That is the coach in me. I see people, I see them the way God sees them. I also understand that great teams and great companies don't build themselves, and that takes people. Community and fellowship are a huge part of my heart, and what lights me up is building things together. He is the rock, and that as long as we remember that, we will build greatness together. I'm Natalie Petrosky, and a #1 best-selling author.
Hi, I'm Wendy Rhodes, and I wrote a chapter in the book as well. And one of the things that the Lord wants me to share with you today is the way I lose my joy is around control and around perfectionism. And sometimes when things don't go my way, I get upset, as I'm sure a lot of people do. But
as I was lamenting to the Lord one morning how I had screwed something up so bad, he spoke to my heart and said, you know what, baby girl, you took your first step. When babies take their first step, parents don't scream and yell and cry and say, I'm so disappointed in you. God says, yes, you did it. The parents jump up and down and clap and say, yes, you did it. So I want to encourage you, if there's something you're afraid to take that first step on, do it anyway. Heaven's cheering for you today. I'm Wendy Rhodes. Thank you.
I'm Julie Richards, and I'm so happy to be here with you guys. I wrote a chapter called Faith is the Journey, Hope is the Fuel. And I want you to take a moment and just look around this room. Look at all the influencers, look at all the business people, look at all the believers, look at all the hope-filled lovers of Christ. If there's anything you are lacking at this moment, if you're lacking hope, if you're lacking joy, if you're lacking courage, take a breath and receive from somebody in this room, because everybody has something to give. And I just feel if we breathe in the presence of God, we are going to leave this place changing the future. And one thing I want to say to everybody here is that I feel like there is a call on your life that you have not stepped into yet. There's a capacity that is left to reach. We have 50 days left in this calendar year. 50 days. What can be accomplished in 50 days? One of my favorite lines of a song is, with all of the faith in the room, what can the Lord do? What can the Lord do? I'm Julie Richards. I'm a joyful entrepreneur.
Hi, I'm Tierney Sherrill. I wrote a chapter called The Journey from Broken to Bold. And the biggest sign that God has given me on that journey is the same verse just popping up over and over and over in a show, in a podcast, a sermon, reminding me that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. And I use that verse as a verb, meaning God can 828 anything. And maybe you'll resonate with part of my story of mental health, severe postpartum depression to the point of suicidal thoughts, with a diagnosis of bipolar 2 disorder, or maybe you have something else in your life that made you feel broken, unloved, unworthy. Whatever it is, he can and will use it for good and for his glory if you release the shame that has kept you silent and use your voice, tell your own story so he can take that test and turn it into 828 it into a testimony. Thank you.
Well, hey now, how y'all doing? Listen, when you are submitted to God, he will change everything in just a moment. I had a whole idea of what I wanted to say, but God told me to come today and say, the last shall be first and the first shall be last. I want to talk real quick to those people that feel like they have always been the last person, the last to be called, the last to be picked. You're still waiting on that marriage. I'm here to let you know that God said the last will be first and the first shall be last. All he wants us, it doesn't matter what position you're in. It just matters what position you're in. And he wants us to humble ourselves before him. My name is Tamika Thomas, and I wrote a chapter called Healing and Dealing, God's Way. And he told me to leave you with this. Therefore, humble yourself before the Lord under his mighty hand, that he may exalt you in due time. When I was on my way here, the Uber driver told me about the story about a placenta. No, not placenta. What was that plant with the red, the placenta. Well, y'all know what I'm talking about, the Christmas plant, right? Poinsettia, yes. He told me about the Christmas plant, and he said that in order for it to bloom, it has to spend 18 hours in darkness. And he said in order for those red, blue, beautiful flowers to bloom, it has to spend that time in darkness. So you may feel like you're in darkness like Joseph. You may feel like you're in darkness like Ruth, but baby, believe it is almost time to bloom.